What up? Alright, we got something different. We got a One Piece chapter review. I usually sit out of these because it's a lot of other people talking about it, so I tend to like stay away. This ain't one of those chapters I'm staying away from, and I will no longer be staying away. Gotta throw my hat in the ring, because what is going This is One Piece chapter 1152. Has to be one of the greatest chapters ever. I'm not gonna do this where I'm going like boom, 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 boom in order, probably. I'm just gonna rant. This is just a rant of everything that happens. I'm gonna try to stay in order, but this is one of them ones. So, the cover story, you know what it is. It's Yamato and her little excursion. She runs into Kawamatsu. She's giving the sword back, blase, blase. Luffy and the gang. Luffy and the gang, they about to head up because Chopper done gave everybody the rundown, so Luffy knows what's going on upstairs. They done started the lift. New Giant Warrior Pirates, they finna head out. Luffy and the crew finna head out. We got the saviors is coming. The people is going upstairs. But before they head out, Gaban stops Luffy and he's telling him, yo, be careful how you use your Conqueror's Haki. They are not immortal. They are not what they seem to be. Now, I'm one of those people who was more of a fan of the idea that maybe it's not Conqueror's Haki that's damaging the Gorosei. Maybe it's a different trick, just so that we could get more people that can hurt them, you know, just so we could get like other Straw Hats can do it, Grand Fleet can do it. Like, it could be more people other than Conquerors that's able to hurt the Gorosei. Well, the God's Knights, so that we can have more options for fights. But I'm not against it being a Conqueror's method, because we are getting more and more Conqueror's Haki users day by day, issue by issue. We're getting more people in the ring. So now I'm very interested to see what exactly is it, because when Luffy was fighting Kaido, it was just simply, oh, you're adding Conquerors on top of your Armament Haki. Like you're infusing your blows specifically with Conqueror's Haki. You're using it in an armament type of way. And we thought that was the more advanced way. But nah, apparently it's a different trick. I think it's more of just like, because we already know about putting it like and damaging it from the inside out. We know that method, and we know just banging out on them. So I'm curious to see what's the new trick now. What is it now? Is it really more about controlling the flow? That could be it. Just controlling the flow and not having it just spill out wildly, because that's what everyone's been doing. That's usually what you do when you show your Conqueror's Haki. You just have it spill out, just having it pour out. So maybe it's more about controlling the flow of how you're using it now, more than it is about just adding as much as you can. Maybe it's more about like using it in a having it just ease into it or something like that. I don't know, but I'm very curious. So we get that, and he also points out it's another person in your circle that seems to be a conqueror, swordsman, because you know, Sanji. Sanji, he assumes that it's him, and Gaban, he ain't even acknowledge that. He just like, swordsman, it's you. But we gonna talk about it after we get through with Zoro. Zoro wasn't aware this whole time that he had Conqueror's Haki. He's still using armament. I thought that he was aware of this when Kaido told him. So he still didn't know that he was beating on Lucci. He was beating on Lucci, King of Hell, and he wasn't aware of what he was using. But you already know that attacks get stronger when you are aware that you're using them. So now it's a man in the woods. Zoro's about to be cracked. He's about to be insane because he got Enma. Infusing Conquerors with Enma, he in there. It's gonna be insane how seeing him infusing, because I feel like we should have been known from Dressrosa that he was going to get it, because the way that his Armament Haki was pouring out of his blades where even Luffy's like, you didn't know it's been oozing off of you this whole time. So I'm just imagining that Zoro's just walking around casually and the haki is just pouring off of his body and he's not aware, but everyone else is like, turn it, what the fuck is going on? What's up with bro? So it's like, just the way that his arm in that haki was spilling off, you could tell something not right with bro. It's that conquerors go crazy. His conquerors go crazy. So I'm very curious. Now, Sanji and Gabon, they end up having an off-screen conversation that is being shut out by Loki shouting to be freed. But I think this is the reason that I didn't want the method to be Conqueror's Haki, because I really wanted Sanji to be someone that could fight. I still think he's going to be someone that can fight. If he doesn't get Conquerors, there's gonna have to be another method. And if there isn't another method, they have to give him Conquerors. Because usually I didn't care about Sanji having it, simply because he was strong enough without it. He had the crazy exoskeleton. Speed that's just, I don't even want to get into how fast he is. Diablo Jambe, all those, and he's cracked with observation. He didn't need to have Conqueror's Haki to fight against a top tier at this point. He's that nice. But now, where we get into the big league, where now it's different threats. Now it's not pirates that you gotta fight. Now we talking about it's something crazy going on upstairs. Now you gotta have it. Or they need to introduce another method. I think they're gonna have to introduce another method because it's a lot of other people. There's gonna be a lot of other people in the final war. Not every revolutionary is about to have Conqueror's Haki. Not every Straw Hat Grand Fleet member is about to have Conqueror's Haki. Not every Straw Hat in general is about to have Conqueror's Haki. Not the allies. Like, it's so much other people, but at the same time, it's a very limited amount of God's Knights. So I'm not mad about it because we have enough. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, we have enough, but out of all the people that have Conquerors right now, I don't really care for some of them. Kid will come back, but Kid has it. Zoro has it. Boa Hancock has it. Blackbeard maybe. Rayleigh, he's washed. Well, he's not washed, but he's not participating. Yabon maybe participating, but he has it. Mihawk, we gonna get into him. We gonna get into Mihawk, boy. Like, the list goes on, but it doesn't run long. You feel me? So I'm just very curious. But not only that, we cut away from the Conquerors conversation. Oh, Loki. We can just hop into Loki right now. Loki is asking to be freed because he's like, yo, I'm the only one I'm seeing what they talking about. I'm hearing the description. I'm the only one who has fought against these people. I know how to deal with them. Let me free Haruda. And he's begging for it. So that's basically confirmation. He has Conquerors. And I was gonna ask that in another video, because I was gonna do another One Piece rant video, just in general stuff. I probably still will do that. But what's the name? I was going to ask, does Loki have Conquerors? Because I don't think it's just been blatantly stated, but I mean, look at how he acts. Look at how he acts. Look at who he's been. Look at the things they've said that he's been doing. Look at who he's been fighting. He has to have it. So yeah, that's basically confirmation. But Loki, he's begging to be freed, and Haruda, he's like, I'm not letting you out, B. I ain't gonna lie, you cannot come outside. You can't come outside. You done snaked us too much times. How do I know that you not gonna side with the opposition as soon as you get up there? I'm not rocking with you, I ain't gonna lie. That's very justifiable. Haruden was bullied by his baby brother whole life. I wouldn't trust you either. And then bro done killed Pops and he doesn't want to tell you the circumstances. Then he done did all these other heinous acts, supposedly, allegedly. We don't know the full stories. He most likely did it though. He most likely did it. Look at who he look up to. So all that, Loki just doesn't have a good case for being free. So Hiruden's not wrong. But Luffy sees this and he's like, oh, you don't want to free him? All right. Yo, Loki, join the crew. Man, I seen that. I got lit. When I seen that Luffy asked him to join the crew, I said, all right, that just gave me all the confirmation that we need. Loki's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Hold up. I had to fix my fan. But we just got confirmation right there. Just by Luffy asking him to join the crew, because I was wondering if he was going to. It was pretty obvious that he was going to. I mean, he's been fiending for Loki ever since he ran into him in the underworld the first time. So that just gave everything. And even Hiruden, he's like, you going off your gut feeling now, huh? Alright. And we see that it's kind of like setting. He's starting to question it now. But even Gibbon, he's sitting there. Well, before Gibbon chimes in, he's like, I can't just give him to you. Even if you going off your gut feeling and I could trust that, I can't give him to you. He's too much of a criminal. You know, he's Elbaf's property. But Luffy's like, I mean, y'all acting like y'all don't want him. And Zoro and Sanji, they chime in, they like, yo, how is he gonna even fit on the boat? How is he gonna be able to be fed? There's just, it's too impractical. It's too impractical to bring him with him. So that makes me think Loki's definitely going to be with the crew. Whether he's going to be on the crew or if he's going to be an ally. Because it's been a floating little theory. I don't see it being brought up no more, but it's been a theory that Loki is the Yonko that Shanks beat to become a Yonko. Loki is the reason that Shanks became a Yonko by defeating Bro. So if that's the case, then it's like Loki is a pirate. He is a pirate. He can hop on a crew. And if anything, he could end up taking over the giant warrior pirates, because Hiruden could become a king. If Hiruden becomes a king, then Hiruden stays on the kingdom, Loki sets out. Or it could be a duo thing where Loki, but here's the thing though, he's huge. So I don't know. But what I do know is, Blackbeard, what are you gonna do? If Loki joins the crew, what are you going to do to keep up? Because the way it's looking now, it's looking so spooky. The Straw Hats look insane. And we're gonna talk about this later. I'm gonna double back to this. But yeah, keep that in mind. Just have that question in his head. What are they gonna give Blackbeard to keep up? Now, we float to Gibbon. He's also vouching for Loki to be freed, where he's like, Hiruden, just let him go. Just let him go. We probably got our information wrong, because that day that the massacre happened, me and Shanks, we went to visit, but I felt a strange Haki. So it might be a side to the story that none of us just know about. And Hiruden's like, all right, bro, you got 3 minutes. Make them minutes count. Tell me what happened. And everyone stops, because originally everybody was gonna leave, and Luffy decides to stay behind when he hears that Shanks is being mentioned. Of course, the dick riding is crazy. Get off that bike, B. But wasn't it? Luffy decides to stay behind. Gibbon is staying behind. Zoro and Sanji are going up there. The other giant warrior pirates are going up there. So it's gonna be Luffy, Loki, and Hiruden that stay behind. They are the ones that was being shown in that panel in the last chapter, that these they're gonna be the 3 big players. Here's also something I wanted to say, now that we're on the topic of it. When Chopper fell from that mountain, when Chopper fell from the bridge to save Gibbon, and Luffy sensed it, y'all saying the voice of all things, but here's also something. Because we know that Domi Reversi is based off a game. Similar to how Imu knows the whereabouts of all his pieces, could it just be that Luffy is a player? Luffy could just be a player in the game, and that's how he sensed Chopper. He's sensing his game pieces, where he's like, what is that? Because Luffy knows, he doesn't exactly know the ramifications of the voice of all things, but he knows, like, he knows the feeling of it. So he'll be able to recognize, like, oh, it's this again. But he also knows he has observation haki. But he's confused on why he was able to know exactly that it was Chopper. That's beyond observation. So it could just be he's part of the game. He knows where his pieces are. I'll talk about that when I talk about the rant. But what's the name? Yeah, that's that. But that's the cast that's staying behind. And now we're hopping into the flashback of the castle where Loki and Hiruden are being called to the castle. Here's the thing. Previously, I don't know why, but I assumed Jarl, I assumed that he was already with Harold in the castle. And Loki probably like broke in there or something. Like, I just assumed Loki was banished. Well, not banished, because Harold did love Loki. He loved both of his sons. But I just assumed that Jarl was already in the room with Harold. I don't know why. That was just my assumption. But nah, they get called into the castle, and Loki, being the troll, he's saying there, he's like, yo, you still breathing? He's like, you still breathing, bro. You ain't tired of life yet, bro. Kick the bucket already. We need space on Earth. But Jarl, he's just saying that, he's like, shut up, bro. We in the presence of royalty. Mind your manners, basically. But here's the thing. Because a lot of people assume that Jarl was also someone who was against Harold's teachings of peace. But right now, we see that Jarl was all for it. He was all for Harold being, preaching peace. Where he's sitting there and Loki's talking to him. He's saying, I'm not finna listen to the whims of a government dog. He sold out Elbaf. He works for the people that killed Rogs. Why would I ever listen to anything that he says? But he is my father, and I'll honor him, at least. So Loki's standpoint is interesting, because we know that he doesn't like the government. He didn't like the government from the jump. But now we see, like, even though he hates the government so much, he's not hating his father. He doesn't hate his father. He's not even against his father, for real. He loves his father still, to the point where he honors his decisions still as a king. He just doesn't side with him. So, you feel me? Just keep that in mind. Like, when you see everything else, even just doubling back about how he talked about Harold and everything, and what we already know, Loki loved his dad. So it's very interesting how the murder must have played out. But they talking about that, and Jarl, he's like, I'm all for it. I'm happy that we're in a generation where my grandchild will not have to see war. She will never have to pick up a blade. And Loki, he's sitting there, he's talking about something, bro, you're supposed to lead her. You're a coward. You're living the life of a coward. And he says that is his fault, basically. Now, here's my little take on Jarl. He's not a traitor. This basically confirms that he didn't betray nobody. So Jarl has an interesting standpoint where he's playing the middle ground on everything. He's not against the warrior life, but he's also not against the peace. He's very neutral about things. Even when he was talking about Nika, he was very neutral about the opinions of everything. He's taken a very big backseat. But how old is Jarl? Because Dr. Correa. Later. But yeah, Jarl's very interesting on his little standpoints, where he's very neutral about everything that he talks about when it comes to just the progression of Elbaf. He's not against being a government country. It's really just Loki that can't get out of the old ways. That's why I'm saying he's going to leave. There's no way he stays on Elbaf. At the end of the arc, he leaves. He for sure leaves. But that just talks about every other pirate that's not a Straw Hat. Y'all playing catch up. But y'all might have had time, because we also get another when we're in a flashback and they're walking through there, he runs into the guard, and the guard is like, oh my gosh, Loki, I mean young master, what's up? What's up? I'm gonna let you in. I just gotta talk to the king real quick. And Loki, he's like, nah bruh, let me in, I was invited here. Kicked him through the door. And they walk in and they see that Harold is being stabbed from all directions by his own guard. I'm very torn between what is going on, because Harold still looks like Harold. His silhouette still looks like, you see the mustache, there's nothing different about the mustache. He's still bald, there's no horns, nothing. He's literally just being stabbed. And from the way that Jarl, and it's so confusing saying their names to me, but from the way that Jarl and Loki calls out their name, he's very recognizable that that's Harold being stabbed right there. So is this a mutiny? Is this a mutiny that's taking place? Because the guards wasn't immediate on letting the king know that Loki and Jarl had walked in. He wasn't immediate on letting them through the door, even though they had been summoned. So it should be clear that they was summoned by Harold. Like, the guards should know that, but they didn't immediately just let him in. They said that they had to walk in and run it back and then let him in. Is there a mutiny going on? Or is there something else? Because if this is a mutiny taking place, where do the celestial dragons and stuff, where do the God's Knights come in this whole situation? Because Gabon was talking about there was a weird haki, so the God's Knights was there, or at least Emu was there. So if this is the middle of a mutiny, what happened? What was it that wiped out everyone in the castle except Loki and Jarl? Because the kill count is that 113 warriors died that day. 113 warriors died that day. Harold died that day. Loki was the one who killed him. Jarl ended up with Harold's blade in his head. Now, everyone's under the assumption, including me, that Harold had transformed. He was Domi Reversied, but he's getting stabbed right now, and he's a normal. He's in his usual form. There's nothing different about him. So what is it that causes? What is going on in this room right now? I think it was a mutiny. I think they walked in on the middle of a mutiny where Harold, he called them in, but he didn't know what was going to happen. They just happened to be called into the palace at the moment where Harold was going to be assassinated by the other warriors. And they were probably the people that stabbing him are probably just people who are against allying with the government. Because at the end of the day, I'm not surprised if Elbaf doesn't want to side with the government. The government are they're the remnants of the faction that took out Joy Boy and them. Joy Boy is a god to Elbaf. The Nika, the sun god, he's a god to Elbaf. They worship the drums of liberation, and yet you want to open up Elbaf to the Holy Land? You rocking with the ops. I'm sure that a lot of people don't agree with what you're doing. So this could just be an uprising, and they just walked in at the wrong time. It just happened to be the worst moment because Big Dog is now there. Loki's there. But where did the God's Knights come in? Was Harold getting attacked? And then they was like, oh nah, mutiny. I bet. Reverse it. Bow. Or was it, what was it? What was it? Because here's another thing. The Mark of the Abyss, the throne room has the magic circle in there. Did the God's Knights also get in there at the same time? Or was they already there? It's very interesting. But that happens, and then we cut away to Gabon and Shanks. Here's something. Here's something that this is what I really wanted to talk about. So Shanks is sitting there, and Gabon, he's sitting there, and he's like, it's been a minute since me and you have shared a bed together, like what, 3 or 4 years? And then Shanks is like, bro, Captain died 10 years ago. It's been more than a minute. It's been an hour. So boom, pause. Brago pointed this out to me, and I'm gonna piggyback off that. The time dilation thing. Everyone has Everyone has basically been pointing that out. So is it like a 3-year theme? Because we also know how giants age. They are 3 years older. If a giant is 5 years old in giant years, you're 15 in human years. That's how that goes. So is that what's going on here? Because if that's the case, then if the Straw Hats stay in Elbaf for 1 month, 3 months go by, and 3 months go by on every other place outside of Elbaf. If they stay there for a year, 3 years fly by, and that could double back to what Louis Arnault was like, yo, you falling behind. Get off of Elbaf. Do not stay here for too long, because your perception of time is being thrown off by the fact that everything else is so much bigger. The time dilation, it just makes sense. It makes sense. It makes very perfect sense for it to be a time thing. Now that I think about it, yeah, definitely. So I feel like that's perfect though, because in a way, we need the Yonkos to catch up to each other. Because the way that it was going for the longest, the Straw Hats was so far ahead of everybody, where, like, think about it like this. The Cross Guild was just formed, so they need time to catch up with their poneglyphs, because they don't have none. I'm pretty sure they don't have none. Their whole plan is to, like, just sneak into places, grab it, get out of there. So they needed time to catch up, because they was very far behind. Blackbeard was also very far behind, and he wasn't really making big moves, but he was making moves, we just didn't know. Shanks, he just now decided that he wanted to get into the runnings. So Straw Hats was literally ahead of everyone when it came to knowing where Laughdale is. They was right here, and everyone else was right here. 3 months, that gap starts to close. So now everyone could sort of be neck and neck with each other. But at the same time, if they stay there too long, they can get lapped, and we don't need them getting lapped. So I say they stay in Elbaf for like either a week or a month, so that everybody has either 3 weeks or 3 months to catch up. But they further on in their conversation, and they're talking in the bath about how just reminiscing on old times. But we see a panel of Shanks leaning back, and he has the mark of the abyss on the arm. Brother. Now I remember when everybody was saying he's a rat, and I was like, all right, listen, we're not gonna do this, because I was always a believer of the brother theory. That was right. But from what he's saying, from the fact that he has the mark of the abyss and everything, he was in Marijwa for a minute. Like, he was living there. He was living lavishly for a minute, apparently. That's basically, he was probably even with the God's Knights and everything. I'm saying this because we know that he has Griffin. Roger didn't give him that sword, but the fact is he has a sword very similar to his father and his brother. So it would have been weird. It would have been a very strange coincidence that he ended up with a sword. He ended up finding a sword very similar to his family as a pirate, just living a pirate life, and you just came across that. It makes sense that he got it from his peoples. And it'll also make sense if that sword has a transformation, or had a transformation, because he lost that arm. And him losing that arm, the fact that he lost that arm so that he doesn't have access to the mark anymore, and the fact that he took the devil fruit, he took the Nika fruit from the cipher pool, him losing that arm was him basically declaring war against his own people. That's beautiful. Shanks is my boy. Shanks is my boy for that. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, and here's the thing. But here's what I really want to talk about. Mihawk had to fight Shanks when he had the mark of the abyss. He had the griffin. He had a griffin in his sword, most likely, and he had a regen. What is in them black blades? Why? What is going on right now? How strong is Mihawk? That's why I'm very That basically confirms he has Conqueror's Haki. Nobody's surprised by that. You're the world's strongest. You're the world's strongest for a reason. In a world where Zoro exists and he has Conqueror's Haki and he still hasn't surpassed you, you have it too. There's no way you didn't have it. So, fuck. But also doubling back, because I forgot to talk about Blackbeard real quick. Blackbeard with the time dilation and Oda giving them time to catch up. Good. What is Blackbeard gonna? Blackbeard had to have made a move because he has. Now that we got Loki rocking with us, the Straw Hats got, like, we got the Knight of the Sea, Hell's Kitchen, we got Sanji, Vinsmoke, Exoskeleton, potential Conqueror's Haki user, Roanoa Zoro, the man in the do-rag, also Conqueror's user, with Enma at that. And it's about to be a Black Blade soon. The Sun God is the captain. Now we got a giant. Not just any giant. We got a demon giant. We got a demon giant with Conqueror's Haki and Ragnar. That hammer is dangerous. That hammer is dangerous. We have that. We got the giant warrior pirates. Like, we got a whole this lineup, forget Straw Hats and 5. Straw Hats looking like this about to be a clean sweep if they ever run into the Blackbeard Pirates. What the Blackbeard Pirates got? What do they have? Pizarro. They got nothing but Devil Fruit users. They got nothing but Devil Fruit users, and Blackbeard is probably the only one with Conquerors on that whole, and Aokiji. We got enough people to deal against an Admiral. Think about it like this. His only other heaviest hitter is Aokiji. And we got at least 2 people to put on Aokiji that can whop, that can beat him, that can handle him. And then we got another 2 people that can fight against Blackbeard. What is they gonna do? He needs at least 3 months to catch up. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I forgot to say. But back to the conversation with Gibbon and Shanks. They talking and Ripley comes in. She's like, "Is everything all right?" And then she asks, what's her name? She asked Shanks to tell him a story about, like, the pirate life when he was on Roger's crew with Gibbon. And Gibbon is like, "Yo, if you say anything, 5 fingers to the face." Because why would you say that? And I just found that hilarious. You was a pirate. You know your boy got around. Him, Rayleigh, and Roger was all known for that, actually, now that I think about it. That's crazy. That's insane. Because Roger was known to get around too. And Rayleigh. Rayleigh probably had the lowest count out of all 3 of them. That's insane. Because, well, we see who Rayleigh settled down for. I ain't gonna lie. I would have settled down too. Shaki is bad. But we cut away and they're talking outside, and Gibbon is like, Harold is the leader. I wonder, did you get to have a conversation with him? And Shanks is like, yeah, I got to have a conversation with him, but honestly, I didn't get to say much because we was in the Holy Land. But now that we're both in Elbaf, I need to have a conversation with him. And I'm curious because him saying that implies that even though he's staying in the Holy Land, because that's how it's looking, it looked like he definitely living there. He definitely living the high life right now. Even though he's up there, he's not fully with the world government. He still has the mindset that, like, even though we up here, my family is Roger. My family is them pirates in the Blue Sea. He acknowledges that, like, yeah, I'm here, but he's still playing the middle ground. He's still trying to find where his spot was, because we also get revealed in this little interaction that his whole goal was to live a low pirate life with Buggy. He didn't want to play a part in anything. He just happened to be a man of fate. He happened to be one of the children of fate. And I think Luffy is the other one. Ace was one. Ace was definitely one. Because think about Ace's place in history. Ace was the child of 2 members of the clan of D from different families. Son of the Pirate King, Conqueror's Haki, a Logia Devil Fruit, was about to take over Wano, was about to be, Yamato would have joined Ace. he was on the ship of the man who rivaled the Pirate King. He was literally said that if he made it out of Marineford alive, he would have led the new era himself. Like, the more he had to die in Marineford. If he didn't die there, it would have been hard to justify Luffy becoming the Pirate King. That's actually the reason why Ace died. Why Ace died so fast, because his goal, his ambition wasn't as his goal for the Pirate King, it wasn't there. He wanted to make Whitebeard the king. He didn't want the spot for himself. If he wanted the spot for himself, it would have been nothing stopping Ace. But Mugiwara is carrying the mantle, and it's looking like a clean. It's looking like he about to beeline for the throne. So I don't know what everyone else is gonna do, but yeah, someone is making a move though, because Marijois is being attacked right now. It's not the revolutionaries, and it's not Blackbeard. Cross Guild? No way. No way Buggy's moving. No way Buggy and Crocodile is moving like that. That's a possibility. That is a possibility. But no way they made that bold of a move. But I can see it. I can see it. That's crazy. Put that on the backboard. Lock it up. Alright. We get to another scene. They cut away from that and we cut back. We got to travel back in time because the narrator shows, we get a little montage of panels of what's going on in the castle. Then we get a chest where supposedly the legendary devil fruit is in. People are thinking that it's the Nika fruit. I don't think it's that, because the Nika fruit is still in the hands of Cypherpool. The Cypherpool got the fruit robbed by Shanks. Shanks took that fruit. So this is a completely different fruit, and it's most likely the fruit that Loki has right now. Supposedly it is. Of course it is, because he's tied with Sea Stone Cups. He has something. So we still don't know what that is. We see a bunch of Conqueror's Haki booming out of the castle. It's most likely coming from Harold. Just saying. And then we cut away all the way back in time to when Harold was 15. We see his design. What's up with the you know this is one of those ones as a One Piece chapter. My phone ran out of storage mid-recording. That has never happened. But this is the final bit. Why does all the demon giants all wear these tight jeans? Why y'all all dressing like YNs? Harold was a YN, because we see he wasn't about that peace. Before them kids, he wasn't about the peace. And that's how it be with dads. That's how it be with dads when they have kids. They want to settle down. They want to calm down, live a high life, live a kind life. But that dad lord go crazy, because we see he's the reason that he's literally the embodiment of why everyone was fearing the giant warrior pirates. And it's crazy because Kureha lived through that era. How did she live through everything? Why does she know the will of D? How did she live through the giant warrior pirates? She lived through God. She wasn't at God Valley, but she seen that happen. She seen everyone fly through, and she's still here. And she knows the will of who is Kureha. Why has no one accepted when she had asked them, do you want to know why I've lived so long? Why has no one... That's a video. That's a video. But yeah, we see that. So we're going to get a Herald flashback. And that makes sense, because if we had only gotten a Loki flashback, it doesn't flesh out everything. So it's good that we get it from Harold's perspective first, and then it all correlates when Loki runs into the palace. I'm excited for this. So yeah, I gotta edit this. This is probably like 40 minutes. No. This is gonna be like 30. This is gonna be like 30 for sure. Or at least 28 or 27 minutes long. This is a video. Yo, I got 2 more to make too, I think. No, I got 1 more to make, but it's gonna feel like 2 because it's also a long one. Gotcha, Kuda. Y'all boys stay safe though. I'm out.